My name is Sauls. I'm the lead pastor of Life Spring Church. I want to welcome our online audience. I want to acknowledge that this is one out of 4 services at this campus. We have Western Harnett campus with a live preacher at it, Pastor Jonathan, kids ministry at every service, teen ministry on Wednesday night. Say hello to your church family. Get loud. This is a loud, hot service. That's right. Amen. Amen. Glad to have you with us. The lounge, everybody. Here we are. We're in this series. Said, what were they thinking? Say that with me. What were they? Come on, say it with a little bit of attitude. Come on, right? Like let's just say it. Don't look at your spouse, but let's say it like, or your kids, but let's just say, what were you thinking? Go ahead, do it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. What were you thinking? Who's ever said that? Hold your hands, like in real life. Who's ever at least thought it? Rest of you's liars, right? You know, right? Here we go, ready? Now, what we've done in this series, if you're brand new, let me just catch you up. It's a 4-part series, but it's like 2 mini-series is wrapped up in 1 series. So for the last 2 weeks, we've been talking to men about what women, you know, like what were they thinking? And good news, I don't have a clue what women are thinking, but the good news, we have the Bible, and the Bible helps us a lot. Now, today what we're going to talk about, so if you're like brand new, you're just joining in, you've picked a natural threshold, a good time to come to church, because this week I'm talking about what men were thinking, and I'm going to also like part 1 of the sermon is today, and then part B is next week, okay, or part 2. So we're gonna it's a 2-parter. You're going to really want to, if you bring somebody with you next week, they're going to really need to have listened to this week to kind of get the foundation. I'm going to give you some foundational principles today, and then I'm going to hopefully give some practical things next week. Now, if you're single, all the single people, raise your hands. All the single ladies, raise your hand. All the single people, look around the room so you can shop a little bit. You better hurry up. Okay. Just trying to keep it real here. I want everybody to get something out of church. All right. So all the single people, listen, you need to be paying attention to this. You need to be the best note taker of anybody in the place, all right? Because this is going to help you, and I'm telling you, it would be so much better that you get this now than to have to learn this later. This will be huge, okay? Especially single ladies, this is important. Now, if you're single and you don't intend to ever not be single, but you have, like, you know, you're a widow or whatever, then you have sons. I'm telling you, this right here is going to help you. If you work with men that don't, this is going to help you. I could preach, if you were here, how many of you were here for the other 2 messages about, I could preach that like from the context of moms, you know, like the whole deal was live with your wives in an understanding way and honor them. I could preach that from a parent, like understand your mom and honor her. That would make sense. Everybody understand it? So say amen, right? I'm choosing to preach this as a married man because I think that's where Satan has attacked marriages. But you can apply this, single people, on so many different levels, and I encourage you to do that as we go through. Now, today, what I want to talk to you about is what men want. Now, you think you already know, right? Because your mama told you, right? Boys don't want but one thing, right? That's what they, in fact, today, Miss Tanya and some of them were in the office, and Sissy, I said, y'all get ready. I don't think I can preach tonight because I've been in a lot of meetings and doing talk. I said, y'all get ready. Y'all preach this. She said, well, I already know. Tanya says, I already know what men want. And I'm the pastor, so I turn a little red, you know, right here like my shirt, right? And she said, they want food. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's what I was thinking too. There's a few answers you could have put in the blank there, right? And so I'm not really sure exactly what you were thinking either. You know, what do men want? I want to talk to you about what they really want, even if there's some surface levels, because what I'm going to tell you about this week, honestly, men don't even know how to articulate. In fact, some of the men in this place have had some struggles and temptations, and they don't even know where it comes from, and I'm going to, like, uncover some things for them. They're going to get some aha moments as we go through this today. And I want to talk to you about some desires that sit deep inside of every man that ever walked the earth that they're not even aware of at all. So let's get going. Before I get into the message, let's get going to Life Spring Church social media moment. Since God created marriage, God knows best how to make them last. Can I get an amen on that, right? How many of you believe that family was God's idea? Hold your hands up good and high, right? Yeah, so family is God's idea, and so because he came up with it, when you want to know how to get the most out of a vehicle, you go to the manufacturer. When you want to know how to get the most out of a computer, you go to the manufacturer. When you want to get the most out of a marriage, you have to go to the author. I want to also say, notice that the messages we've been putting in our social media moment have been general positive statements about Christian marriages. Have y'all noticed that? Go back and look at them. And over the last few weeks, I just want to send the world a message. So I want you to post it that God knows best how to make your marriage run. Anybody believe that? If so, say amen, right? And that's why I'm so glad you're in church. If I can get you to turn this mic down just a little bit, it's a little bit hot, and I don't like to hear myself preach too much because then I get convicted, and then I feel like I got to change something in my life, and we don't want that. Here we go. So what we're talking about today is we're talking about to women about what men want. Men, are y'all ready? Come on, y'all ready for me to let them have it? If so, let me hear a baritone amen. That's what I'm talking about. There it is. Now, let me give a disclaimer real quick up front before I ever even get into it. I have always been a man. Yeah. You know, there was a day that would have never even got a laughter, you know, but today, and my mom's here and actually in this service. Is that right? I've always been a boy. Is that right? Yeah, okay. So I've never been a woman in my life. Now, I love women. My mama's a woman. She's always been a woman. My wife's a woman. I love women, but I've never been a woman. So a lot of what I'm going to say may be insensitive. I know that's hard to imagine a male being insensitive, but it happens occasionally. I may be a little insensitive, and some of the things I'm saying, ladies, you're going to probably want to do a rebuttal, yes, but. Right? And you're going to want to get a little defensive. And I just want to encourage you not to gain that posture. Just keep your foot off the brake as long as you can, all right? Let's try not to not listen, because listen, if you get the posture, well, if my husband, and if he would, and if you just knew how it was, then I'm going to go and tell you the next few minutes are going to be a waste of your time and my time too. You're not going to hear anything I say. Now, here's what I want to remind you. If you were here for the very first message, if not, you can go listen to it at lifesprings.online. The Bible removes excuses because our role model is Jesus. And regardless of what kind of man he is, it never gives you an excuse for your behavior. Is that right? So you don't base what you do based on what he does. You base on what you do because Jesus is your king. And he said this is what you do. Everybody with me? I know some of you ladies, your husband's not even in church with you, and I understand that, and you wish so much he was, and so you want to get a disclaimer card for, I'm telling you, whatever he does is between him and God. He'll answer to God for that. You answer to God for you. And I want you to not put the foot on the brake because I love you. Everybody with me? You say, well, he don't deserve it, and I didn't deserve Jesus saving me either. If we start basing things on whether or not we deserve it, this is going to be a terrible marriage and a terrible world. Can I get an amen? Is that right? So this is not about deserving or not deserving. This is about what's the right thing before God. If you got it, say got it. Now, with that understanding, today I want to explain one aspect of masculinity, just one, and I want to help you understand it, and I'm going to build a case, and I'm going to help you understand some things and peel back some layers, and then next week I want to talk to you about what to do about this thing that I'm talking about this week. So I'm going to give a principle this week, and then next week I'm going to give you some, okay, now that you got this principle, what do you do about this thing that you've learned? And so we're going to talk about that next week. Now, in order to get this principle, we've got to go all the way back to Genesis, the book of Genesis. That's in the first book of the Bible. And we see there men and women being created. We see God creating the heavens and the earth and everything in it. And now we're seeing him create the man. And in that environment, we can see the way he wired man up. We can see the way he set us up. And we can see before sin ever entered the world, man in his original sense, before any of the bad stuff happened, the way God intended him to be. So let's get going. Ready? First of all, the creation. Men were designed to work and to lead. That's the way God designed us. God designed men to work and to lead. That's all the way through the Bible. Let me just give you a few of them right here, and all the way through Genesis, you can see them, but here's a few of them. God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and what? And subdue it. Come on, say it a little louder. Ready? Come on, where you at, man? That's a good man word. I mean, it's like one of them words like, I don't even know what that means, but I know what it means. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Come on, man word. 1, 2, 3. Subdue it. Just feel hair growing on my chest when I say it. Rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the sky and over every living creature that moves on the ground. You're going to rule over it. You're going to subdue it. Say subdue it. The Lord took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to what? To work it and to take care of it. So I want you to see this right here. This is, why did God put man in the garden? He put man in the garden to subdue it and work it. Work it, baby, work it. That's what we do, right? Now see, you may not have thought that's what meant. Like you think, well, what they do in the garden? Like what were they doing in the Garden of Eden? Did they? Because see, a lot of us think of work being something we would do after the garden, and so like we always think about what it was like when God made Adam and Eve, and we're like running around naked playing frisbee with a dog. You know, I don't know what we're doing, right? And like, but here's what I want you to get. What they're doing is that He said, right from the get-go, you're going to have this chip inside of you, man, that's going to make you want to lead. That's going to make you want to work. It's going to make you want to subdue. And so He gives man in this perfect environment, this perfect man, to put him into work in the garden. And you don't find God saying, Adam, I want you to go and work the garden. You don't find Adam going, oh, shucks, God, no, man. I wanted to watch Netflix all day and play video games and set in my underwear and eat Doritos. You know, I mean, that's not what he did, right? It's not, he didn't, he's like, yeah, well, that's kind of what I want to do anyway. And he said, well, I want you to name the animals. I'm going to name the animals. I'm going to get charge of the animals. Perfect world, perfect environment. God placed in him this desire to subdue the world, conquer the world, rule the world, lead the world. It's the God chip. It's part of the image of God. He programmed him that way and wired him up. And so that's the way men are wired. We're wired to just like, to want to lead, to want to build something, to want to salute and take orders and conquer something and save the day. And that's just the way God wired us up. And then right beside of us, in the creation, men were designed to work and to lead, and then God created woman to help. Right beside of this man, that's this perfect man, that's this perfect environment, this work, take charge, subdue. Say subdue. I want to feel good. This right beside of that, He places this lady, and her job is to help. The Lord God said, it is not good for man to be alone. And some of you single guys are like, I know. In fact, he took a rib from Adam's side and like he put him in a deep sleep and and just took a rib from his side and fashioned a woman. Some of you single guys are like, I'll be taking a nap tonight, God. I can spare one of these babies, right? Because it's not good for a man to be alone. You don't want to be alone. So I'm going to make a helper. Say helper. Helper that's suitable for him. It's going to be like he's taken from the rib a part of himself, and it's like it belongs there. It's suitable. Say suitable. Is suitable for him. It's this right alongside this natural-born leader, subduer, take charger, right up beside is this beautiful lady, and her job is to help. And she, that's what she's gonna. What's she gonna help me do, God? She's gonna help you subdue. That's what she's going to help you do. She's going to help you work it. She's going to help you lead it. She's going to help you. Like, you're going to run out. Because, see, guys, you're not smart enough. You're going to run out of names. Like when you're naming the animals. This is the way I think. This ain't in the Bible. It's just Dale, okay? Like, what are you going to name this animal? Fly. You've already named 4 of them Fly. Why don't you try Butterfly, honey? Yeah, Butterfly. I'm naming it Butterfly. That had to be a woman's name right there. That had to be. Anyway, that's just me making that part up. But here we go. Ready? She's going to help me lead and subdue and work it. And then it's kind of like we got Batman and then his Robin right here. Right there it is, right? Or Bonnie and Clyde. I don't know how you're going to do it. Whatever it is, right? Perfect world. In this perfect world, you got this perfect environment. You got this man who likes his responsibility. He wants his responsibility. He desires his responsibility. He's stepping up to his responsibility. He's fine-tuned to carry his responsibility. He's got right beside of him this woman who was fashioned for him, made right from his ribs. She is like his helpmate. She's designed to be the perfect one for him. And together they lock arms and charge into this brave new world. And they're just kicking butt and taking names, right? And they're conquering it. They're in harmony. They're working together where one picks up the other. I'm describing your marriage right now, aren't I? Okay, here we go. Ready? Right before the sin happened. Now, here's what I get before I keep on going. Here's what I want you to get before I move on. God put in every man, and as part of the image of God, this desire to lead. And want to build and want to take charge. And it comes out in a lot of ways. And even the most subtle men, it comes out in a lot of ways that men have this desire inside of them that they want to make an impact. They want to make their mark on the world. They want to do something that matters. And what's great is when a guy takes that lead chip that is inside of him and puts it on something good. You see incredible things happening. You see guys like Billy Graham, just doing great. You see guys like Earl Norris and Delano who founded, you say, who's that? That's the people who founded this church in 1980. No education, not much education, but a heart for God big as Texas, man. And he took that. You see guys lead their family like they want to lead, and so they're intentional with their kids. They're intentional with their family, and they're leading their family. They're leading their household, and they're doing good. But sometimes, honestly, this lead chip that is inside of guys, sometimes it gets out of whack. Sometimes it goes amok. Sometimes this ruler, dominator, subduer turns out to be a terrible husband. And a terrible boss, and a dad that is just domineering, and sometimes it even gets extreme, abusive even, verbally and physically. In fact, research says that men, there's a part of us that's just driven. In fact, research says that pornography addiction is largely attached to this thing in men of wanting to be like in charge and lead and wanting to do. It's just something about it that connects to that. Every man is filled with this desire, and they're going to find an outlet. Now, not every man is in pornography. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying every man is domineering. I'm not saying that at all. So if you take that out of message, you totally got the wrong view of it. But I'm saying he will find an environment where he can be in charge. In fact, I heard a study recently about why men are so addicted sometimes to video games. And what they're finding is because they can control the behavior of that thing on the video game. There's just something inside. Now, the man may not be in video games. It may be in hunting. It may be in golf. It may be at work. But whenever he gets in an environment where he can be the man and he can feel like he's making a difference and he can feel like he's in charge, he will be drawn to that. It's just in it. He will find an outlet, whether it's on a football field, whether it's somewhere where he can be subduing. Everybody tracking with me so far? So say yes. It's just going to be in there. It's beyond anything he did wrong. It's just even the most passive man will find an environment where he feels like he's up the ladder. Now, if things went how God wanted them to be, that'd be no problem because there'd be a whole bunch of Billy Grahams and a whole bunch of Earl Norrises and a whole bunch of great dads, but it went wrong. And where it went wrong is that Satan tempted Eve. She ate the forbidden fruit, then she handed it to Adam. And you can say whose fault that was. I don't know. I've heard people say all kinds. Like the other day I was talking about where you going to eat, where you want to eat, where you want to eat, where you want to eat. One woman said, well, we don't want to tell you where to eat because last time we told you what to eat, it got the whole world in trouble, right? I don't know. The other person said, well, how is he not going to eat it with a naked woman saying, here, eat this apple? Okay, right? He just, I don't know. I don't know. You can process this any way you want to process it. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. Whoever's fault it was, they ate the apple, and when that happened, God pronounced a curse. And so here's what you need to know about the curse. There's a curse going on. Number one, man's environment was cursed. This very place where he's going to work and going to lead and whatever else is now cursed. In fact, he starts speaking to Adam, and this is what he says. To Adam, he said, because you listened to your wife and ate from the tree about which I commanded you, you must not eat from it. Cursed is the ground, your environment. Because of you, through painful toil, you will eat food from it all the days of your life. In other words, you can eat. You're not going to die. I'm going to let you eat. But you're going to eat. Now the work is going to be painful toil. That's like it's cursed. It's just cursed is the ground. It will produce thorns. You're going to have a garden this year. Next year you'll have thorns there. And thistles for you, and you will eat the plants of the field by the sweat of your brow. By the sweat of the brow, you will eat your food, until you return to the ground. Like you're going to work hard all your life, and then you're going to die. Since from it you were taken, for dust you are, and to dust you will return. Now, he says, because of your sin, Adam, I want you to understand something. Your environment is cursed. Used to be your environment worked with you. It cooperated with you. It was producing good things. And now what I want you to know is now you're going to eat, but I want you to understand something. It's going to be an uphill struggle. There's going to be weeds in that garden. And there's going to be times of drought. And there's going to be times of too much rain. And it is going to be uphill because now your environment is cursed. then whenever you have worked yourself to death, all your life, worked hard, sweat of your brow, put your, the sweat equity in, then you're going to die. Because from dust you came, and to dust you're going to go again. And so here's what he's saying. Adam, you're going to live with this continual sense of frustration. Now, ladies, at different levels in our life, your man, your son, your husband, your dad, is going to bump into, at different levels for different guys, but at some point in their life, some people call it midlife crisis, some people call it whatever, some of us just get there a lot. Your man is going to bump into the what's the point wall. And he's going to kind of want to get into a whatever mentality and want to sit on the couch and not do. And did you know that women are treated for depression a lot more than men, and they have those symptoms, but men have 4 times, still to this day, it's been like this for years, 4 times the number of suicides per year that women have. Men live with this frustration. I don't know if you've ever even realized that. Like, have you ever even put that together, that men are way more susceptible to suicide than women? They live with this frustration, and they don't know how to talk about it. They don't even know how to articulate it, and that's why you've never even heard what I'm teaching you right now. But, and see, you have a totally different perspective. These guys, we bump into this wall of what's the point, and you're like, what's the point? How about me? How about the kids? We got such a life here. But see, we live with this cloud that is very difficult for us to explain, this cloud that hangs over us that if we're not careful, we're going to work and work and work, try to build, try to subdue, but then it's not going to work out, and we're just going to die, and it's just going to go back to dust anyway. And the struggle is real. And we feel this sense of responsibility to provide for our family. We want our family to have stuff, and she wants a new dress, and she wants this, and it's like we feel like such a failure because we can't provide it, because we're going to work every day, and some of you ladies are now in work and you're making more money than your husband, and honestly, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. He wants you to keep going to work, trust me. But there's that whole thing that's going on inside of that, and there's this frustration and there's irritation because we wish that you didn't have to work. We wish we could make that money because the environment is cursed, and we make the call and they don't call you back, and we bid the job and we don't get the job, and it's just so frustration, and there's this internal programming where it's this constant friction because of sin nature inside of the world, and that's why, have you ever seen a husband or a man lose his job and just crumble? And it's not like for a man, like for a girl, it's like, oh man, I lost my job. I guess I'm going to go put out some applications. But it's not like that for men. You ever seen a man retire and just like almost go crazy? And don't know, like he's in his shop and he just don't know what to do with himself. He just don't know. Because see, here's the thing, and I don't think you can understand this. It's a chip that God placed in us that honestly, that our work meshes with our identity to the point that honestly, I don't even know if we can separate it. I don't even know if it's possible to separate it. And here's the thing, that not only was our environment cursed. How many have tracked with me so far? Hold your hands up again high. Y'all understanding it, right? Not only was our environment cursed, but then behind that, our relationships were cursed. And mainly, I probably should have put in here our marriage. Honestly, our relationship with you, is what I'm really trying to say, was cursed. So here's the way it went. God's doling out the curses. And he says, listen, your environment's going to be cursed, Adam, and you're going to work and harsh yourself in the ground, and then you're going to die and go to dust. And he says, listen, and then he turns to the woman. He said, to the woman, he said, and he's doling out curses. Okay, remember it, curses. I will make your pains in childbearing way severe. Very severe. I don't really think that happened. Come on, ladies. Did that happen? If so, let me hear you. Come on, right here. Amen. Amen. With painful labor, you will give birth to your children. And it is painful for the men, too, because we have to sleep on those chairs, and it hurts our back. And thought you'd like that. Hey, I'm preaching for the men. Come on. Let me. Now, notice the last part. He's doling out curses. Hey, come on, ladies. Is painful, very severe childbirth, is that a curse? If so, let me hear you say amen, right? Now notice the last part of the curse. Ready? Your desire will be for your husband, which don't sound very much like a curse. It sounds more like a Hallmark movie, like, oh. But then he tags on the end of that a very unusual phrase, and he will rule over you. It's like, wait a minute, it don't even make, like those two don't even go together. Your desire will be for your husband. It sounds kind of positive, and then you put that out. Now, let me tell you what it actually implies. I think it's very important because I think we missed that. Ready? Here's what I think. And let me just tell you what I think. I'm going to tell you why I think this in a minute. I think what it's literally trying to say is your desire will be to overthrow your husband, but he will rule over you. Now, you say, I don't get that at all from reading it. Just hang with me. Ready? That word desire is only used 2 other times in the Bible. Okay? So that Hebrew word for desire is only used 2 other times in the Bible. Let me show you the 2, and you make up your own mind. Here's what it says. This is in Genesis 4, 6 through 7. Then the Lord said to Cain, remember Cain and Abel? He said, why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. In fact, he really got anything in the sermon, but I think this might be a word for somebody here. Right now, you got temptation knocking at your door. Sin is crouching at your, and sin's desire, same word, your desire will be for your husband, but he will rule over you. Its desire is to have you, but you must rule over it. Now, little sidebar, some of you right now, that sin is, you just got a text from a guy even in church. You just got a text from a girl even in church. You just got a message from somebody. You just had an old friend contact you, and you know it is sin crouching at your door. And its desire is to have you. Now, no ifs, ands, buts about it. That means to overthrow. That means to conquer. That means to change you. Sin is there wanting to change you, and sin is wanting to take control of you. And that's the same word your desire will be for your husband. Think about it. It's in a curse. Here's the other time it's used, which is kind of in a more positive way. Song of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 10. It says, and other translations say it different ways, but this is the way the New Living Translation, when they translate this is the way they translate it. I am my lover's, and he claims me as his own. In other words, he takes possession, he takes ownership. Now let's go back in our mind to Genesis chapter 3. Genesis chapter 3, he said, your desire to overthrow, to claim, to take control of. Sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you. He claims me as to claim you. Your desire will be to claim, will be to overtake and claim control of your husband, but he will rule over you. Now, the context of all that is a curse, and here's the implication. Ready? The implication is that there will be a tension in marriage. That there will be a tension in your marriage, that now this environment will not be perfect anymore. You're going to have thorns and briars and all that. And now, Batman, you're Robin. Now your helper, who was perfectly suited for you, she's not going to always think your ideas are great. She's not going to, she might not be 100% on your team all the time. She might think that her way is better, and she may question you from time to time and then remind you when you did it wrong over and over. Her way might be better than yours. Why don't any of y'all look shocked at this? I mean, y'all act like y'all have heard this sermon before or something. Like, if you're smart, guys, you will not amen me like nowhere from here for a little few minutes. All right, let me just tell you that. All right, let me just. The reason you're rumbling the crowd and you're laughing is because you see it, don't you? It's just, I mean, it's like so clear. It's right here in Genesis. So ladies, what he's saying is there's in you, beyond what is our fault, although not saying, I mean, we got our own troubles. We already talked about that. But in you, that you need to acknowledge there's this desire that will manifest itself in different ways to, if you're not careful, to take control and to overthrow and of your husband. Now, so some of you ladies are like, you're right. I hope so-and-so down there is listening to that. Because she just nags and nags and nags her husband. I mean, she just like nags and nags and nags. And he just sits there quietly and just takes it. And then he just gets up and goes plays golf and just kind of tunes her out. Or you're thinking about, I hope that teenager over there understands. She's always trying to date the bad boy because she's trying to change him. And you ever notice that about girls? I want to date the bad because I'm going to change it. I'm going to tame him. Your desire will be for your husband. I'm going to take control. He's going to change because of me. And right now he's not a Christian, but he will be. And right now he's a jerk, but he will. He will get a job. He will clean himself up. I'm going to make him into the man he needs to be, right? Okay. Let's move back down the continuum, all right? I don't have time to go down that road, right? What I want you to recognize, because I ain't got time to go but you can already go there. Ladies, what he's saying is, I need you to recognize that you have the potential to shift a gear if you're not careful, and you will overthrow, you'll attempt to try to control your husband. You'll have attempt to subdue his subduing. You'll have a temptation to try to be in charge. Now, this explains a lot. Ready? Listen, let me ask you some questions. Have you ever noticed this? Now, I know everybody says it's a man's world, and I get that. But listen, for years, since the 70s, probably before that, we've had women's lib, right? Have you ever noticed there's never been a man's lib? When I grew up in church, we had a ladies' auxiliary. We never had a men's auxiliary. We tried to do brotherhoods for men, and they didn't show up. They wouldn't come. And if you fed them, they would eat and leave, right? And you know why? Because they were at home in their underwear playing video games, eating Doritos. That's why, right? No, it wasn't that. But here's why. Because let me tell you something about men, ladies. Let me tell you something. We don't mind you having women's lib. We don't mind you being in charge. We don't want to be liberated. Let me tell you about me, guys, because we're frustrated half the time. We like you picking out our clothes. We don't want to make the decision. We're fine with that. As long as it's comfortable. Just don't make me put my shirt tail in. We want you to decide where we're going to eat. We don't want to come up with what we're going to eat as a rule. We don't want to have to. In fact, we would like it if you went to PTO and we don't have to go. We don't ever want to go to a parent-teacher conference again. In fact, we don't even want to go to the doctor, to be honest with you. We're okay with you handling the bills. We're okay with you talking to the creditors. As long as you just give me the remote, leave me alone. It's uncomfortable in here right now, isn't it? Some of you guys are like, why are you preaching telling my wife this? Because you know it's the truth, right? If we're not careful, we'll get this whatever. And I'm stereotyping. I'm generally, not everything's for everybody, but you get what I'm saying. I'm stereotyping because this I'm making a point. How many of you understand my point? And you see what I'm making. You got it? It's right. You got it? This is this here. So let me recap. Let me recap what's going on for you. Men have this desire to leave their mark, to lead, to conquer, to all this thing. They have the two environments, the environment of they're working in and the environment of their home life, their wife. Those two environments got cursed because of sin, but still men, every now and again you'll find an 18-year-old that don't want to go out, but most of the time that 18-year-olds, I'm going to become a truck driver and I'm going to become an apprentice electrician and I'm going to go to college and I'm going to meet this girl and I'm going to marry her and I'm going to make her dreams come true. And most of the time these guys spin out of they're still trying to make it work. But it doesn't take very long to realize that it's just not as easy as they thought it was going to be, and it's harder, and they can't make the money they thought they were going to make, and they can't live in the house that she wanted to live in, and they can't drive the car that she wanted to drive, and he feels like a failure in that, and then she's not always on his side, and then something begins to happen after he's been married for a while, after he's been in the workforce for a while, after he's been in his occupation for a while. Something begins to happen in the mind of a man that sets him up for a battle, that sets him up for this tension, that this principle begins to take over, and you've seen it, and you just never heard a preacher say it. You may not have heard anybody say it, but you've seen it over and over. Here's the principle. The relationship or environment in which men feel most competent, like I rock there, whether it's at the golf course, the video game, hunting, wherever, work, business, it will capture their hearts. And possibly, if they're not intentional, if we're not in church, possibly, if we're not careful, it will capture the majority of our time, attention, and affection. So where we feel most confident, where we feel like we're given the most freedom to express this image of God that is inside of us, then if we're not careful, whether it's like, again, working, hunting, gaming, hanging with our friend, whatever, or heaven forbid, another lady, if we're not careful, it'll capture our hearts whenever the environment that you feel most comfortable in, most confident, able to lead. It's like it pushes this, it's not a decision, it's like it's pushing this button inside of men that they didn't intend. It's like they're just drawn to that, and I can't explain it. And it's not a decision they make. Now, what they do with this button getting pushed is a decision they make. But it's not a decision they make. It's just something that happens. Now, here's what it's like. Ready? Here's what it's like. God, this is a man, okay? And God says, this is a flesh, this is just a fleshly human being. And he says, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the breath of God, the image of God, and I'm going to, hope this blows up well. We didn't try this first. And God just blew into him, just filled him with the breath of God, just filled him with the air of God, just filled him. And he says, you now have the lead chip. You're made in the image of God. God created the world you're going to want to create. God rules the earth. You're going to want to name the animals. I'm telling you, you're going to, and I'm putting right beside of you this woman to help you. And I didn't try this. I hope this works out. And this is, you're filled with the breath of God. Now, here's the deal. Wherever the man is able to express that the most, it's going to draw him. Watch this, ladies. This is so huge. If you, because there's a reason the Bible talks a lot about submission to women. I want to talk about that more. I don't think it's because you're not competent to lead. Truthfully, don't tell guys I said this. This is just between me and you, ladies. You're more competent than men are to lead. And they know that. You're smarter. The reason that God wants you to submit, I don't think it's because you're not competent to lead. It's because what he knows is, here's what God knows about men's heart. If you clamp down and say, you can't lead at home, you don't make my dreams come true, you're not everything I wished you were, then what happens to that air in the balloon? Wherever you clamp down, it just goes somewhere else. It's going to go to the golf course. It's going to go to the hunt. It's going to go to the, are y'all tracking with me? If so, say amen, right? You got this, right? Wherever you clamp down, it's not going to go away. It's just going to go somewhere else. And I don't think, the reason I want to talk about this for 2 weeks is because, and I can tell just, I've been preaching to you for a long time, and I can tell this is a real aha moment for a lot of you right now. I don't think most women really have, they have no idea about this, about a guy and how strong the pull is. And you say, well, my husband's so passive. I know, but trust me, there's something in him that wants to feel like the man. And if you don't let him feel like the man at home and you clamp down. So I want to talk about this for 2 weeks because I don't think most ladies even know that. But the second reason I want to talk about it is because honestly, ladies, you have no idea what you could do for your man's self-esteem. You don't know the secret struggles he's having because we don't even know how to talk about this stuff. I've already told you more about how your husband feels than he's told you in 20 years of marriage, just in his one sermon probably. And you're laughing because it's true, right? That's right. Because we don't know how to even talk about it. You don't even know the power you could have over his self-esteem and his confidence and making him want to come home after work and not work a lot of overtime. Ladies, I can't stress it enough. You got to discover how to push that button for your, and you know how to do it or he wouldn't have married you. At some point you push that button. You got to figure out how to push that competency button again and provide an atmosphere in your home where he feels comfortable to lead. I honestly think that's why it says so many times in the Bible, and I know you ladies get mad at it, and I don't blame you, I understand it, but I think that's why it says so many times, ladies, submit to your husbands, ladies, submit to your, again, it's not a competency thing on your part, it's a way to draw his heart back home. When he feels that submission, it feeds that thing. Are y'all tracking with me? If so, hold your hands up good. How you understand? You understand what I'm saying? Now, here's the deal. Ready? Good news is that most of the men in this place really want their hearts to be drawn back home, and that's why they married you, and that's why they want to be in this marriage. And I want to say this to you, ladies. we desperately need you. I'm serious. We desperately, these guys aren't amening just because they're church guys. They know, really. Listen, when you send your husband out of the house feeling incompetent, feeling like he didn't make your dreams come true, like he's not everything that he lived up to be, and when you send him out of the house thinking he can't do anything right to please you, and he's just never steps up, and he's always a slacker, and he never does anything, let me tell you, listen, it's like dropping a bloody fish into shark-infested waters when you send him out of the house with that. Because somebody won't feel that way about him. Something won't feel that way about him. And it's like pushing a big button in his heart. Now, let me talk to the men, because I don't want you to go home and take this and use this the wrong way in your marriage. Listen, guys, under no circumstances, never, ever, ever, never, ever, under no circumstances does it excuse your behavior no matter what your wife does. If your wife don't let you, she's like the biggest whatever, and she just makes you feel whatever, and you feel about that high, and so you're thinking this other girl at work's pushing them buttons, or this thing is like, you listen to me, guys. I'm your pastor, and I love you. My name's Dale, and I'm your friend. Okay, listen. You do not want to stand before God after abandoning your family emotionally or physically. I'm telling you, take it as a warning. Well, she'll answer for that. You answer for you. There's never an excuse to abandon your family. I don't care what they're not doing and how she makes you feel. Are y'all tracking with me, guys? Let me hear you say amen, right? I don't want you to stand before God disappointed. I don't want you to miss heaven. I want you to be okay, so I need you to not use this in the wrong way. I'm talking to the women. I'm not talking to you. I'm helping them understand some things inside of us. That's what I'm doing. The next week, ladies, what I'm going to talk to you about is how to release that clamp. I'm going to talk to you about how to create an environment in your home where he wants to be there. And you say, well, my husband just won't lead. He just won't step up. And I give him the reins, and he just won't. I'm going to talk to you about what to do when you have a husband or in your life who just won't step up and lead. He just won't do it. I'm going to talk to you about how to help him have the confidence to step up and be a leader in your home. I'm going to talk to you about that next week. How to draw his heart back home and how to encourage him to be the leader of your household. I want to talk to you about that. Now, what I want you to do with me now, if you don't mind, is I want you to close your eyes in prayer, and I'm going to ask you real quick in a stillness of this moment, if I can, no moving around or anything, just real still, heads bowed, eyes closed, because I know this is real tender right now. How many of you are in this place today and you heard what I said, and even though it might have been hard to understand, you understand it and you see the truth in it? Hold your hands up good and high if that's you. Yeah, I thought that would be the case. Praise the Lord for that. Okay, just real still. How many of you want me to pray? Because you can already see just from this message, your home needs this. Would you like for me to pray over your situation right now? Would you just hold your hand up good and high? And I get that. Man. I'm going to pray for you in a minute. We've all seen women just lose their husbands to golf or work or hunting, and we wonder, why don't he ever want to be here? Lord, I just pray for these ladies. I pray that women would discover how to push those competency and leadership buttons in their husband's heart, and I pray that men's hearts would be drawn back home. Now, here's what I want to tell you real quick, and then in just a minute, I'm going to let you stand and we're going to sing, but I don't want anybody to move because I want you to hear this while your head's bowed and your eyes closed and you're thinking about your home. Listen, here's the deal. The curse that was spoke over your marriage in Genesis was broken in Jesus Christ. So what I want to tell you is now we're not living under that cursed environment, and we don't have to have that relationship that has been cursed. Jesus can restore what the devil has taken. Come on, does anybody believe that? I need you to hear that. Jesus restores. So maybe your marriage has not had Jesus in the center of it. And maybe she hadn't been the helper. And maybe you hadn't been the leader. And maybe you hadn't been leading that home right. But today, everything can change because Jesus changes everything. And I need you to know that right now. Now I want you to stand with me, please, and I want to get the music team in place and move this TV, and I want us to worship God. But as you stand right here, just lift your hands to heaven and say, God, I need you. I need you to break those things that the devil has done in my life. I need you to break those mindsets and those problems. I want to submit to you. I want my home to be yours. I want to be like you want me to be, God. I'm yours. I'm yours. God, I pray you restore, draw men's hearts back home. Let ladies not have pushed this, but let us get back to the way it's supposed to be and heal what has been broken. Come on, let's worship the Lord.